I'm going to skip ahead a little bit here. I was going to do project work, and I was going to get you to do a project where you make your own family, but I actually don't think it's that useful. It's better if you spend more time working on the exploded isometric because you get more stuff out of it. But I'm going to continue with families, but I'm going to combine it with curtain walls down here, because actually curtain walls are really useful. Does anybody kind of play with the curtain walls? A little bit, yeah. So what I'll do is I'm going to talk about the basics of curtain walls, and then I'm going to show you how to make a your own panel type. So you can make a curtain wall, so you can make a repetitive panel of whatever you want, basically. So I think that's probably the most useful thing to do. So I'm not going to use any specific project. Am I recording? Yeah. I'm just going to go start a new architectural template and go into 3D view. And I'm going to draw a wall, just like that. Zoom out a bit. And let's just copy that as well. So I'm going to copy that across, so we have two of the same. So curtain walls are options within the wall properties. So if I select this wall here, for example, I can change it to different types of walls, but I can also change it to different types of curtain walls. So I'm going to change it to the storefront one to start off with. That's kind of the one that's most easily used. If you don't want to make your own version, you can use the storefront curtain wall to do a lot of standard things, and you can kind of stretch it around, change the level of it. You can modify it in exactly the same way, modify the profile in exactly the same way as a normal wall, just by drawing a shape of a profile like that, and then trimming it together like this. So you can quickly kind of set up anything that requires a frame and a panel. I mean, the most obvious thing to use it for is like an office building or something. You can quickly set up a standard office building with the curtain wall, and that's where the name curtain wall comes from, because it's a wall that's hung from the building rather than a structural wall. So it doesn't support any of the structural elements of the building. So that's the storefront one. Once you set it up, you can come into it. If I select it here, I can come over and I can do a few things with it. I can change the justification of the different grids. And justification basically means, where do I want to start drawing these panels? So if I select this justification on the vertical grid here, I can switch it to the center. If I apply that, you can see that it moves the panels so that they're equalized around the center of the wall that we've drawn. We can set it at the end. If I set it to the end, it moves the panel so that it doesn't really show very much in this, but it makes. Let's see if we can get one where it makes it more obvious. Let's try the horizontal justification, center, apply. Yeah, so it's kind of, so those are the basic ways of organizing it. The other thing we can do is we can select it and go into edit type, and under edit type here we have a couple of things. First thing to look at is the spacing between the vertical grid and the horizontal grid. I can change this spacing to whatever I want, so let's just change it to a standard spacing, 3100, apply. So it's been set to a standard spacing, and then on this direction let's make it 1200, apply. So you can kind of play with the spacing any way you want. Also, if I select it here, we get this little icon in the center here, and if I click this icon, we get these angles that we can change here. So I can select this and change it to 15 degrees, for example, and it'll change the angle of the glazing bars to 15 degrees. I can do the same thing with the horizontal one. Yeah, first of all you select, make sure you select the entire thing, so the whole thing is highlighted like that, and then you get this little icon in the middle here, and if you click on that you get the option to change the angle. We change this one 25. No, it's just the glazing bars. So if you look at it, the wall remains the same shape, so it's just the glazing bars in it. So you make all kinds of patterns in there, very quickly. Let's just undo that again. You don't often need to do that, but it's good to know that it's a possibility, because sometimes it gets you out of some awkward areas. So let's select it again, go into edit type, and the other thing we have here which is useful is we can change the type of mullions that we're using, and mullions are just glazing bars between the well, that's the way to describe them. If you've got glass you have mullions which hold the glass together. So if I change, for example, this interior type to this tiny little 25mm bar and apply it, you can see that if I zoom in now, the glazing bars have suddenly, they've got this vertical circular element in it. So you can quickly change the mullion type to whatever you want as well. Everybody with me? You're all looking a bit blank, so give me some feedback. All right. Okay, so let's go back and edit it again, and I'm going to change that back to, change it back to, 50 by 150, apply. And it pops back into shape again. So that's the very, very basis of how to organize the geometry of a curtain wall. The next thing we can do, if I just put two on the screen at the same time, I'm going to put a level 1 on, like this, delete that. So here we have the curtain wall in plan view, and it shows the glazing bars, the mullions, and here we have the other wall. We can also use the curtain wall tool to set up a window very quickly if you don't want to get into window family editing, or you can't find the exact window you want. If you're making like a special type of window, like a church window or something like that, that you're unlikely to find a standard product for. So we can just go in and go to wall, go down to this storefront that we've been playing with, and I can just draw it inside the wall like this. And if you notice, it actually cuts an opening in the wall.
You have to select the wall first?
No, you just draw it on top of the wall. And I'll show you the reason for that. If I go back and select it again and come over to edit type, there's a little tick box here called automatically embed. If I switch that off and apply it, and then I try to draw a wall again, it doesn't allow you to do it. So it just draws it on the wall on top of the other. You can see it's kind of embedded in the wall there, but you can't see it. So the important thing is that when you select the curtain wall you want to use, is that you have automatically embed ticked on. So it will cut out the opening within the wall to allow you to just set it up as a kind of a window like that. I mean, once you put it in there, we can just stretch it up or stretch it down, or give it a height, or attach it to a level, or whatever you need to do, in the normal way for Windows. Make sense? So so let's just go in here. I'm going to change this to 6 meters high. Like that, and let's go back into it again and edit the type, and this time I'm going to make the horizontal spacing 2400, and let's make the vertical spacing 1200. Apply. So I got something like that. So now we have the basics of the curtain wall set up, the geometry. we can also control the individual elements of the curtain wall. So if I run the cursor on top of it here, it's selecting the entire thing. But if I press the tab button, you can see that it starts to highlight different parts of it. So I can highlight the mullions, I can highlight the panels there, and I can change them to whatever I want. So I can select that panel, and it's got a pin attached to it, which means it's stuck in place, it's pinned in place. So we need to unpin it. So I'm going to click on the pin. You can see the pin has just been pulled out. So now I can change it from the system panel to, let's say, what else have we got in here? Single flush door. So now it's put a door in there for us. So the doors that are in the curtain, that you can use in the curtain wall panel, they're different to the doors that you can use in a normal wall, just to make your life a little bit more complicated.
How much? A lot different or just?
Different in that you can't use them in a curtain wall.
I can only find
Yeah.
walls.
Yep.
Oh, sorry.
Sir.
Okay, so then we might say, well, we've got a door in there, so we don't need this this mullion just below it. So I can use the tab button again until we select the mullion, unpin it, and press delete, and the door will stretch to take up the rest of the space there.
If you don't unpin it, then
If you don't unpin it, you can't delete it.
it's just an error.
It just, well, no, it just won't do anything.
Alright. I couldn't get the door.
Huh?
I couldn't find the door.
I'm going to go into that in more detail. I'm going to go into that in more detail later, actually.
Oh, okay.
Okay, just to show you what else we can do, let's make another curtain wall type that's based on this one. So I'm going to select this one, I'm going to edit it, and I'm going to duplicate it so we don't modify the one we're working on. And I'm going to call this one louvers, because I want to make a panel that just makes up louvers for our curtain wall. That's okay. So now, instead of having a horizontal spacing of 24, I'm going to change that to 300. Actually, let me just cancel that because I don't want to delete this one. I'm going to modify this one instead. So this one is, change this one to edit type, duplicate, louvers. So I'm going to change this spacing to 300, and if I just do that and nothing else, it thinks about it for a while. So it's made something that looks like this. So it's the kind of the beginning of setting up some kind of sunshades or whatever. So let's select it again and play with it. So I'm going to change it, edit the type, and this time I'm going to change the curtain panel from glass. I'm going to change it to empty system panel. And if I apply that, it removes the glass from between it. So now we just have some kind of timber structure, that contains louvers. Yeah. So just undo it there. So select it, make sure you select the whole thing, go to edit type, and here where it says curtain panel, and the curtain panel is what is not the frame. It's either glass or whatever else it is. So the standard one is glass 22. So I'm going to change that to a system panel, empty system panel, it says here. Apply.
Yeah, I don't have anything like that.
What if you use
It's okay.
none?
If you use none, nothing happens.
No, but it just remains with.
So let's say the next thing we need, if we wanted to use this to make real louvers, then we have to make the shape of the louver. So does anybody know what we would use for that?
Profile.
A profile. Somebody actually answered a question. All right. So I'm going to say new family. I'm going to use the English one, and then we're going to use this metric profile. So it's the same template that we use to make a handrail or to make a wall sweep or anything that runs horizontally. It's a metric profile. So I'm going to open it up. And so now I'm just going to draw the shape.
Can you make a plane, wing profile?
Yeah, let's do that. So let's make it like that. And then once it's done that, let's stretch it down. This, delete that, and then I'm going to put a curve on the end, let's say. So I'm going to have something like that, and then
Just do the whole thing again. I'm just lost myself.
let me just see what I'm doing first of all, and then I'll go back and repeat it.
Did you open, like, which,
Metric profile. So I went into. It's the same way that we did handrails and all that kind of stuff. Okay, let's say it's like that. So let's just save it on the desktop and give it a name. So say save as family. Put it on the desktop. We'll call it Louver 1. And now if we got the shape of it and it's all completely closed, like all these profiles have to be, I can load it into the project. And once it's in there, let's go back to the 3D view. We should be able to select this curtain wall. I know, first thing we need to do is change one of these mullions.
is it just called metric profile?
Yeah, just metric profile. I'll show you in a second. I'll just finish this first. So I'm going to select this mullion here. Unpin it. And I'm going to edit it. So I'm making a new mullion type now. So the mullion is just a frame. So I'm going to duplicate this one here.
Did you load it into the project? Right?
Yeah, I've loaded the profile in, but the profile is just a shape. It's not actually a mullion yet. So we have to use the profile to make a mullion. Because we could use the profile to make a handrail or to make a gutter or to make a fascia or anything. So we're going to use it to make this profile. So I'm just going to call this louver. Okay. And now we get a chance to choose the profile we want. And here it is here. There's the one we loaded into the project. It's just sitting under the profiles. And we just leave it as it is for the moment, perpendicular to face. We can give it a material. Won't worry about that right now. If I press OK, you can see, there it is there. It's come in at the wrong angle because we said perpendicular to face. So let's select it again, edit the type, and give it a 90-degree angle. See what that does. It's probably going to be the wrong way around. Yeah, it's the wrong way around. So we'll make it minus 90. Okay, so now we've got one louver in there. Turn the shadows on. Like that. Okay, so now we've done one of them. Now we've made a mullion that we can use again. We've given it the right profile. So all we have to do is go back in and modify the curtain wall and change the type of mullion we want into this new louver type mullion, which is here. Apply.
Then wouldn't it be perpendicular to the face again, like the first one?
You're right, I did the wrong one. Good man, Tom. This is actually what it always confuses me about Revit, is that I always expect the vertical ones to be the horizontal ones and vice versa, but anyway, never mind. So let's change the horizontal one back again when this goes back in place. Come on. So let's change this one to louver.
You have to do it on one first and then do
Yeah,
the
because you actually need to make the mullion type first, so you can use it everywhere else.
So I didn't see when so you unpinned it and then added the type and blah blah.
Yeah, I'll do it again. But anyway, that's what you kind of end up with.
Well, how come it's facing the correct direction now?
It's facing the direction based on if I go into the level view. if I select the curtain wall itself, it's got this directional thing. If I switch it, just like a wall, you can switch it from one side to the other.
Yeah.
But when you're making a profile, you always draw it from, as we see from your view, you always draw it underneath the line and to the right, and then it'll always come out in the correct way. Well, not always, but
I know what you mean. But
Yeah.
it's just the first time when you put the first mullion in,
yeah.
it was it goes up.
Ah,
to the
okay,
face.
okay. That was when I was designing the mullion. So if I select the mullion again, one individual one, so we can work on it. Whoops. Using the tab button and edit the type. Over here, there's an angle.
Yeah.
So I could change that angle to be whatever I wanted. So it came in at 0, 0, so it was straight up.
Yeah.
So I just play with it until it gets it right, you know.
And then once you change in one,
Yeah,
and then you make a new one,
it will update. So if I change this angle here to, instead of minus,
110?
what?
110?
Yeah, let's try that. Minus 110. See what happens there. Okay, yeah, 90. Yeah, it only allows you to do 90 or minus 90. So let's,
20.
yeah. Let's see what that does.
No, 20, no minus 20, no?
Let's see what happens. I mean, usually I don't think about this when I'm doing it. I just kind of try it until I get something I want. Let's say minus 60. Or sorry, let's try 60.
You have to unpick all the.
Not when you're working on the I've done it wrong again. When you're working on the mullion itself, it'll update all the mullions. You don't have to unpin anything. So I'm actually changing the individual design of the mullion. So in here I could change the. When am I going to get this right? In here I'm going to change this to whatever angle I want. But I could also come back and change it to a different profile if I wanted to. At the moment it's still minus profile. Oh, God Almighty.
You can go from minus 90 to 90. So
Yeah.
Then you cannot make them down, no? Yeah, you can.
Minus 90 to 90.
20. If this is 0, this is minus 90, and this is 90.
Yeah, you could be right. Yeah. Yeah, stupid Revit, exactly.
I think it's meant for those rectangular mullions, so that it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, what you need to do in actual fact, if you were to do it right, and you wanted to make it slanted, you'd have to draw the profile slanted to the correct angle. And you could actually, if we go back into the family itself, we could select this and rotate it.
Shape.
Yeah,
If you move this, yeah, I wanted to say that.
yeah. So
If you move it to center, where the reference planes are intersecting,
yeah,
then this becomes, he's gonna move them in a little bit.
no, because the rotation point is the same. This is the insertion point.
I mean, there's an option of offsetting.
Yeah, you can offset them too.
But, yeah.
But in here, you can actually, what you could do is add a angular parameter. So you could, so then when you insert it into the project, you come in with an angular parameter that you can program in, and then it'll give you the angle. Anyway, well, that's a little bit too far ahead. Let's just load that back into the project again.
I did it, and it also changed automatically the vertical ones. So how do I select the whole thing again, and I have to.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe I'll pause that. I'm just going to go back in and start the video again. The nice thing is, once you've done it, you could decide, well, I'd like to use this pattern in some of this curtain wall as well. So I can actually go in and say, tab through until I select, if I can select the panel here, this panel, for example. I can unpin it, and once I do that, I should be able to select this louvered curtain wall as part of that panel there. So you can make,
Now it's
Now there's two mullions.
huh?
Is it open or is it?
this to the interior.
It's open because I haven't put any glass in it. I took it open, but you can make it complex. So you can have glass, you can have louvers on the outside, and you can keep going. Yeah.
How do you do that?
Wait a second.
But then you have two mullions there now.
But it'll give me
There's two things. You could either take the mullions off this one. If I go in and edit it, I can say border mullions. I want to get rid of them. So that's on the vertical ones, and then on the horizontal ones, we'll do the same thing again. So now it's just the mullions itself. Or you could just go in individually and select the individual mullions, unpin them, and just delete them,
Right.
depending on what you want to do.
I just did what you did to put like the mullions only, like the louvers only in one little square, but instead of giving me the
Okay. Okay, so that's kind of playing with the storefront curtain wall, and general simple geometrical curtain walls. Let's delete that. The other thing we have in here, if I go into wall, curtain wall, and I just choose something called exterior curtain wall. If I draw that, maybe I'll draw it 90 degrees. That's just a blank curtain wall. You can kind of see through it. It kind of gives you the impression it's made of glass, but I don't think it has a material attached to it yet. Does it? Never mind. So this is what you use if you want to make a very specific window. Like one of these maybe curved windows over there, or something with very specific setup. If you set this up, this is the exterior curtain wall, the basic curtain wall. Along the top here, under the architecture tab, you have a few more options in here. And we have one that's called curtain grid. And you can either do this in 3D view, or we could look at it in plan view. Let's just turn on hidden line. Let's just move it over here. And if we put curtain grid in, we can start to divide this curtain wall up any way we want. We can give it specific divisions. So this is like for your non-standard curtain walls. So you end up with something like that. Now it's divided it up into grids, but it hasn't actually divided it into panels yet. So then we have another button up here called mullion, and that does exactly what you expect it to do. It puts the frame in. So mullion, you can either do it by grid line, so you could do it the entire thing at once, grid line segment, which is one element of it, or just all grid lines, where you just select the entire wall and it just turns it into something like that. Yeah.
You curve your grid lines, your curving grids, your mullion grids.
Nobody's ever asked me that before. No, I don't think you can.
Because in the church window, you have an arc.
You have an arc at the top, but you can easily change that by just putting an arc on the top.
The mullion.
I'll show you now. But it won't curve the actual grid lines. The only way to make something with curved grid lines is to just make a component that won't be a specific thing.
Can you put in the mullion after you do that?
Yeah, I'll do it again. So once you've got the grid in there, right beside the curtain grid button, there's one called mullion.
So you have to select the whole wall, right?
No. If you select, you have three options. You've got grid line, so that'll just do the entire line, or you've got a segment which just does individual elements, or you can say all grid lines, which you select the whole wall. It does all of it.
Looks very Japanese.
Yeah.
How come Williams deserve their own button on the main interface?
Because if you want to put down your story in your project.
So now once we've done that, we can go again and select the individual elements. We can go in here and change this one to what do we call the other one? System panel. Louvers. So we have louvers in there. Change another one up here to whatever we want. What are the other options?
What about a window?
Well, they are windows. I mean,
But, you know, like.
like an opening window. Yeah. So you might change it to like a door. This is that's an opening. That's an opening door. So it's got a handle and everything. You know, so you can play with it. Let's change this one to. You can also just add normal walls. At least you should be able to. You can also put normal walls into the mix. So you can make a combination of things. And you can just use the grid system as maybe an organizational system to allow you to put in different materials. Very quick way of doing. It's like a very quick way of doing panelized buildings.
How did you change the material?
All I did was tab through it until you select the individual panel. Put it in the right place there. Then just come up here and just change it to the wall type you want it to be. So let's change it to thermoblock. So you can quickly. You don't have to have frames in here. You could just have the grid lines could just act as panelizing the building for you.
Shane?
Yeah.
Can you make a circle of hole with a profile, and then in this circle you put another pattern of grids, right?
That you can open.
Let's have a look. If I select window, can I put that? Yeah, I can.
Oh, but if you want to, say you want like one of these panels to be open window, like a window that
With a frame and everything, you want to open it.
Yeah.
Well, that's a curtain wall panel.
Sorry.
That's a curtain wall panel. That's what I'm going to talk about now. Okay, so we've done the basics of curtain walls pretty much. I can't think if there's anything there. I mean, it gets deeper than this, but you don't need to know that right now. You probably get into it yourselves if you get into it. But the next thing, the thing we need to, we've worked out the mullions. Now we need to work out the panels themselves. There are panels already set up in the families. So if I go to insert up here, go say load family, there are curtain wall panels already there. And what have we got here? This is just these are standard. This is just a window one, and then there's a few doors already set up. So let's insert this double flush door. Open. Now I can select this panel over here, and I should be able to insert the double flush door that we just inserted, if we can find it. There it is. And now I can go in and delete the bottom frame like that. So we've got a door now in the curtain wall. So if I go to level 1, it must be fairly. So this is our curtain wall at the moment. So it's got lots of stuff going on. So that's a curtain wall panel. So then the question becomes, how do you make your own curtain wall panels? And that's where we get into families. So I'm just going to quickly make a curtain wall panel, and then I'll shut up for the rest of the class. How much time is left? Not much. Okay. So let's say we wanted to make a specific door type. It's the same procedure as we used to make the table last time around. So I go into new family, but instead of using the furniture template, I want to use the curtain panel template. So here we have curtain wall panel here, metric curtain wall panel, not the pattern based one. That's far too complicated. Metric curtain wall panel, or FT. Gonna open that up.
Is it normal that it gives me like 4 windows?
Okay, so then we have this. This is the plan view of the curtain wall panel we're going to make, and this is the exterior view. So this is basically the shape of the panel, how it's going to fit in within the grid structure that we set up. So I'm going to make again some reference planes so we can control the frame. of the door we're going to make, or the window we're going to make.
Is this, what metric? What's-
Metric curtain wall panel. Okay, so will I pause this for a second before I forget what I'm doing? So we've got the reference level, which is the plan view from the top, and we've got the exterior view. So I'm going to set up some reference planes over here. Create reference plane. So this button over here, and I'm just going to set up some planes to control the width of the frame that we want to use in here. So the outside reference planes are, you know, the edges of the curtain wall panel as they will be inserted. Let me just delete that and put a new one. Create reference plane. So now I've got these reference planes set up. I'm going to set them up with a dimension so we can control the parameters there. So I'm going to go annotate, aligned. So I'm going to take a dimension from here to here, from here to here, from here to here, and from here to here. So I've given them all a dimension. Now I'm going to give them a label and a parameter like we did last week. So select one of them, give it a label, add parameters. I'm going to call this frame width. Okay. So now I'm just going to assign frame width to all these parameters.
Where did you?
When you check
I
on
don't have that.
Okay, so I'm going to do that again. So I'm going to give a label to each of these. So select on it, add a parameter. I'm going to call that frame width. Okay. And then I can go around and change all of them to frame width so that they're all aligned with each other. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm going to make an actual extrusion to form the door. So we've set up the reference plane, so we know where it's supposed to go. So now I'm going to go create extrusion, which is this one here. And then I'm just going to use the rectangle tool to draw the outside of the door and the inside of the door. So I'm going to have a glass panel in the middle here. So you should have something like that. Doesn't matter where it is at the moment. It's just kind of like that. Once we have the shape of it, we need to lock the edges of the door to these parameters that we have. So then we use the align tool, select the reference plane for the outside and lock it, and just go around and align the edges of the door to the reference planes and lock them in place. And similarly with the inside. Yeah? I get the sense that nobody's following me at all. Is it you all following me?
No, I don't know how.
I lost.
So now we have this extrusion, and let's just whoops. We don't want that. Want that. So you should have something like this. So now that we've given it a parameter, we should be able to go into this family types option and edit the parameter. So we could make it 75 mils, apply, and the width of the frame will change based on whatever we want to make it.
Can you change the thickness as well? Because this extrusion is only going like so.
Yeah. It's okay. So now we need to change the thickness.
Wait.
Yeah.
We just changed the frame width.
Yeah.
That's it, right?
Yeah, it just changes the frame width. If it's, so you just test it to make sure it's working by pressing this button here, and then the dimensions here. You should have your parameter should show up there, frame width. Okay.
Yeah, but then in my 2D view, it's
Finish it off, and just to make the video. So now we've done the elevation. Let's go into the reference level. And here's the extrusion that we have, and it's right on this. It's taken off the center line of the project. So I'm going to put in some more reference planes just to describe the dimensions of the frame. So create reference plane, and this is the same process that we did last week to make the table. I'm putting 2 reference planes here on either side of the center line, and then I'm going to annotate them with an align dimension, both at the same time, which again gives me this EQ equalizing option here, so I can equalize it so that they remain always equalized around the center line. And then I'm going to give it another dimension to describe the width of the frame, which is at the moment is at 360. Select it, give it a label, add parameter. I'm going to call this one frame depth. Okay. And now we can align the extrusion to these reference planes. So use the align tool, select the reference plane, and select the extrusion and lock it. And the same thing again, select the reference plane, select the edge of the extrusion and lock it like that. Yeah, because then you have to lock it, otherwise it won't move with the plane. It'll just stay where it is.
But
Now-
then the insertion point will now be right in the middle.
Right in the middle, yeah. So then if I go into this here, the family types, I can change the frame depth to 150. Like that.
I can't wait to this.
Yeah. Okay, so now we've kind of set up the we set up this. So I'm just going to put some glass in there. So let's first of all select the model we've made and give it a material. I'm not going to give it a parameter, I'm just going to give it a material straight in here. So let's give it some kind of aluminium material. Let's just type in aluminium. Say, let's say aluminium anodized silver. Stop laughing.
Are we recording this?
Yeah.
Hey, future me.
Okay, so let's put in the glass now. Okay, so I'm just going to use the front view, the exterior. I'm going to create another extrusion for glass, and again I'm just going to make a rectangle, put it in here, and I'm going to align it to this reference plane and lock it in place. And there we go. So there we've got a big chunk of something. I'm going to give it a material. I'm going to just call it glass. That's okay. So there we have glass set in there. So now we just have to go in here and give that a thickness parameter. So every time you want to give something a parameter, you have to create a reference plane. So let's just put a reference plane here.
From the exterior now as well.
Huh?
You just make the.
I made the extrusion from the exterior side, yeah. So I'm going to make a reference plane here and a reference plane here. It doesn't matter where they are because we're going to give that a value later on. Going to annotate it with aligned. So I'm going to select the top one, select the center, and select the bottom again. And then we're going to equalize that. So the EQ is over here. Same process. And then on the other side, we're going to give it a glass thickness, which at the moment is 870 millimeters. It's a little bit extreme. So I'm just going to I'm going to give that a label, add parameter, glass thickness. Okay, and then again we just lock by using the align tool the edges of the extrusion to the panels, or to the reference planes. Now I can go in here and give the glass thickness, let's make it a little bit more realistic and make it 25 millimeters. So there you go. So you got your, basically that's a very, very basic curtain panel family. So I'm going to save that, save as family, put it on the desktop. I'm going to call it panel test. Save.
You put it inside the regular wall?
No, only inside a curtain wall. So then I can load it into the project. So load it into project 2. Okay.
Can you make it open in the curtain wall?
Yeah, but not this type of panel. What I would do is use a, well, you can, but that's a little bit more complicated. Maybe I'll get into that later. So let's then choose the panel, if I can. There it is. Choose the panel, and then we should be able to change it to panel test. There it is there. So then we have the panel test also inserted into the project.
Is it smart to have the reference plane in the middle of the window?
Yeah.
Of the panel? Is
Yeah,
that
yeah.
The way the others are built up?
That's the way they're usually built up, because then you can control the offset over here.
Put it in a handle.
You can put in a handle too. Yeah. I mean, you can see that the door version here is a handle. That's just a you just make another extrusion, and you add it in there and give it a material. It usually makes more sense to actually make the handle family outside as a separate family, then link it into the. Yeah. Anyway, that's getting too complicated. What'd you say?